Hey everyone, welcome to another Game Thrifter video. Today I'm back on the PlayStation 3 as I've been on a bit of a PlayStation 3 kick lately, and I wanted to share that excitement with you all. The PlayStation 3 is a console that definitely didn't get the love that it deserved during its time, especially during the tumultuous early years of the launch due to the price point and things like that. But I felt like by the middle of the generation, towards the end of the generation, they really had a lot going for itself, a lot of great exclusives. And while this video isn't going to be focusing on all exclusives, there's going to be some that are actually exclusive to the platform and that are probably still tied to the platform as far as I know. But there's a lot of great stuff on the PlayStation 3, and I feel like that era in general is my favorite for gaming because you had so much different variety from, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. It was all just a great kind of mishmash of different things. So this should be a fun video. I can't wait to get into it. Please like the video and share it out and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. As we close in on 6,000 subscribers, what a phenomenal thing to see, because I never thought I'd get any subscribers, let alone almost 6,000. So thank you guys tremendously for the support. Let's go ahead and get started. So, I was watching Deadpool and Wolverine, and I thought, hey, you know what? That reminds me of X-Men Origins Wolverine, that great game that came out, and very underappreciated game, came out on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 years ago. Now, that movie, X-Men Origins Wolverine, wasn't great, but the game actually was this like M-rated, mature, really fun, visceral game. And, obviously you can't get this game digitally anymore or anything like that, but you can still find the game physically in many places. And I just find it to be an incredible game that really kind of showcases exactly what the Marvel characters could do. It's like such a good game. I hope that the one that Insomniac's working on is just as visceral and raw. I have my fingers crossed. I kind of doubt that it will be that, but this game, a lot of fun. You use the feral sense. Obviously he has the claws, and it just really dives deep into what's going on. And again, it's not an exclusive game, but it's one that looks and plays great on the PlayStation 3, which I think can be, just as important. So if you ever do come across X-Men Origins Wolverine, give it a try, because it is a blast to play, and it's one of the, just more fun, better looking games that you can find. Just highly recommended all the way across the board. Next up is maybe my all-time favorite PlayStation 3 game, and that is Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. This is an absolute powerhouse of a game, and it still holds up today. Yes, you can play the remasters on the PlayStation 4, but there's something to be said about the awesomeness of playing this on a PlayStation 3, and it still looks great. I think this is really something that Sony is missing in today's generation, is like, we haven't really got that great Naughty Dog game the way that this did. Now, I thought Uncharted 1 was pretty good, and then when Uncharted 2 came out, I mean, it really just kind of, you knew they were hitting on all cylinders, and it was just something special. And that original trilogy, and even the fourth game, just such fantastic games to play through. That action-adventure genre, I feel like that's something we're losing as we move forward in gaming, and that's not a good thing, folks. So, again, the trilogy of games fully playable on the PlayStation 3 with the original, controller and stuff like that, I feel like that's a really great way to play this franchise. And they really got a lot out of the PlayStation 3 in general. So it's a game that still holds up, and it's one that I still recommend, especially if you're a collector. Get the 3 games. They're cheap. You can buy all 3 for under, I think, $25. So yeah, definitely recommended. Next up is a really cool shoot 'em up called Resogun. And sometimes when I show this video game off, people are like, what game is that? Well, it's Resogun, which is kind of a shoot 'em up by Housemarque, who obviously have done, other games now for PlayStation. And Sony actually owns Housemarque Studios. But Resogun was interesting in that it was a launch game for the PlayStation 4, but it was also released on the PlayStation 3. And what's interesting about that is the fact that it was also a Vita game, right? So like that's something that I think is really under kind of appreciated here, is that this was a cross-buy game. So if you bought it one copy on PlayStation 4. You also got the PlayStation 3 and Vita copy, and that kind of goes all the way around as well. So this was such a fun game to really play, even on the PlayStation 3. You kind of battle enemies, and you have to rescue the trapped humans, and there's a lot going on there, but there's plenty to kind of showcase and explain exactly what you need to be doing, and I feel like the game is just a lot of fun to play, and something that, you know, is maybe underappreciated on the PlayStation 3. And so again, this game scored well, but, you know, maybe some people look to it more as a PlayStation 4 game. I think it's great on the PlayStation 3 as well. So if you do play it, let me know what you think. So next up is a game that is a reason in and of itself to actually own a PlayStation 3, and that's Metal Gear Solid 4. Guns of the Patriots. Such a great game, and there are rumors that we might get a remaster on current hardware, but for me, I go back and play this game all the time on the PlayStation 3. It's just such an epic experience, and probably the last truly great Solid Snake experience that we're ever going to get. You know, I can see them kind of maybe bouncing around the timeline if they ever come out with something new, but to me, without Kojima involved, it just wouldn't be a Metal Gear game to begin with. And, you know, I have to say, this game holds up incredibly well. It looks great, it plays great. If you didn't know, or you played it only early, like when it first came out on the PlayStation 3, they went back and added trophy support to it. So yeah, there's some reasons to go back and play through it and kind of get those trophies. And, you know, even without the trophies, it's still worth going through and just having a good time playing it, because I think it's just one of the better games on the PlayStation 3. And sadly, to this day, is still tied to the PlayStation 3 hardware. So I've been looking for another video to put Puppeteer in, and this is just as good a spot as any. I absolutely love Puppeteer. It really goes to show that Sony was onto something special towards the mid to end life cycle of the PlayStation 3. They were just coming out with so many unique and fun games that you had to get a PlayStation 3. Now, I had a PlayStation 3 since day one, just because I thought, you know, hey, this is a platform that, you know, I'm going to want to own. And, you know, I try to own all the platforms every generation, and I've continued to do that, you know, multiple times. Now, for me personally, I just thought this was just such a fun game, and I had such a really good time with it. And yeah, you can't get it digitally anymore. It is expensive to buy it physically, but still worthwhile in my opinion. It's just something that I think gamers are going to have to spend a little bit sometimes if you want to be able to you know, play the games and things like that. And it's going to cost you sometimes, you know, that's just the truth of the matter. And, you know, it can be an expensive hobby, but this one's well worth it. If you have never played it, I highly recommend it. Pick it up, see what you think. And if you have played it, let me know in the comments what you thought, because I know a lot of people that absolutely love this game. Some people consider it a hidden gem. I just consider it a great game. So God of War 3 is a game that should be on anybody's PlayStation 3 list. Such a fantastic game, so visceral, so like mature, and honestly, it's just one of those things that kind of happens. That to me anyway, it's such a this was a breakthrough game for the PlayStation 3. What I mean by that is Xbox 360, and I love Xbox 360 as well, but it was kicking so much butt. And then when the E3 came around, that they announced God of War 3, and there was so many other stuff that was kind of announced and coming out to PlayStation 3, it started to maybe turn people's opinions a little bit. And so a lot of people were picking up a PlayStation 3 as, you know, the secondary console and things like that. I think God of War really helped turn things around for them, and that's exactly what needed to happen. And, you know, they've toned down Kratos so much in the newer games, which I love the newer games, right? But Kratos just doesn't feel like Kratos to me for the most part, and he's just so like over the top and, you know, raw in these older God of War games. And God of War 3 really kind of showcased that, brought it to a head, and it's such a fun game to play. And I know it's like had an update on the PS4 with the remaster, but it's still such a great game to play on the PlayStation 3. The PlayStation 3 era was definitely Naughty Dog's finest, in my opinion. You got 3 great Uncharted games, and of course The Last of Us, and what else needs to be said? I mean, here we are. You know, it's funny because the PS3 came out in 2006, and basically the PS4 came out in 2013. So you had about 6.5 years, even 7 on the high side, where, the hardware was relevant, and they managed to get 3 Uncharted games and and The Last of Us out on the PS3. So, here we are in year 4 of the PlayStation 5, and Naughty Dog has got 0 new games out for the PS5. So, yeah, starkly different kind of contrast to what they used to be able to do. But The Last of Us is a phenomenal game. Yeah, you can play this game remastered on the PS4, and they remade the remastered on the PS5, but to me, it's still just such a fun game and good-looking game to play on that original hardware. And if you're doing a best of list of games for PlayStation 3, you can't leave this game off. It's just impossible to do. So I highly recommend it. If you're one of the few people that hasn't played this game, go ahead and play it. It's not your traditional zombie game. Trust me when I say that. It's so well done, and it's just a great, highly recommended game. Look, when I say the PS3/360 generation was the best and my favorite, I'm not just spouting nonsense. I mean, Batman Arkham Origins, this game is great. I love talking about this game. It's still tied to the Xbox 360 and PS3, and it doesn't look likely that they'll ever do a remaster or whatever. I wish they would, but look how far we've kind of fallen. We went from getting, we got Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, Batman Arkham Origins, and I know it's not by Rocksteady, but it's still a heck of a game. We got those games on PS3 and Xbox 360, and what have we gotten from Rocksteady lately in that world? I mean, Arkham Knight was pretty good, but that came out a decade ago, and then we look at Suicide Squad, and it's just one of the worst games I've ever played. So yeah, I could definitely say that we probably will never get back to a time like this. But if you've never played Arkham Origins, it is a blast to play. It's got some of the best boss fights in the whole Arkhamverse, and it's just an amazing playthrough. If you're a Batman fan or a fan in general of these types of games, I highly recommend it. Yeah, you have to buy it physically, but on PS3 it's actually pretty affordable. I think you can get it for $20 or less, but a fun game, definitely a must-have PS3 game. Next up is a bit of a remaster, and that is Shadow of the Colossus. Now, this was a game that, people absolutely loved. I mean, this game came to the PlayStation 2. They even made a movie about a guy who likes the game so much. So, you know what I mean? And that's one of the things that I feel like this is such a poignant game. And the fact that they have 3 different versions of this game is pretty telling. So if you didn't know, they have this game on the PlayStation 2, which is how it originally launched, the PlayStation 3 version, and Bluepoint Games actually remade it for the PlayStation 4. I actually own all the versions, but I still absolutely love the PlayStation 3 version and think that it is a phenomenal game. They did a good job with it. And you could maybe say that the PlayStation 3 version is maybe a bit even more towards the original than the remake. So yeah, I would just suggest, hey, if you've never played Shadow of the Colossus, pick it up. The PS3 version is well worth your time and effort. And let me know what you think if you do play it, because it's such a great game and such a unique game. So next up on my list is LittleBigPlanet Karting. Believe it or not, there was a point in time where Sackboy and LittleBigPlanet was giving Mario a run for his money. And I know some of you probably won't believe that, but trust me when I say that was absolutely the case. And not only was that the case, but they had Sackboy doing a little bit of everything. He was in, like a Smash Brothers type game when it comes to the PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. He was also in this racing game, in a kart racing game. Very much like the situation with Mario, with Mario Kart and stuff like that. So, there is that to be kind of talked about. But yeah, again, this is a fun little kart game. It's a game that you can find relatively cheap as well. And I just had a lot of fun with it. I think it's unique. that PlayStation at this particular time had such a variety of games. You know, now it's like we don't get this type of variety, but literally every type of game you could think of, they had, and it was just an incredible time to be a gamer and to enjoy these types of games. So yeah, LittleBigPlanet Karting, well worth your time, a lot of fun, and you know, just there's tons of content there as well. So I'm going to close out the video with a double shot, and that is Killzone 2 and Resistance Fall of Man. Believe it or not, there was a time where Sony had some pretty amazing first-person shooters and shooters in general. Killzone 2, I love the way the controls, I love the things that they brought to it. The story was very dark and mature, and even though it wasn't the quote-unquote Halo killer, it was still a very well-done game that was a lot of fun, had great graphics, and they just honestly brought in a ton of people to the PlayStation with this game. Conversely, Resistance Fall of Man, they did 3 of these games on the PlayStation 3, still tied to the PlayStation 3, much like Resistance 2 and 3, and this series is fantastic. Surely the multiplayer isn't there anymore, but there's still a fun campaign that, you know, kind of has an alternate Earth take on war and things like that, and just one of the best types of franchises you can get. And obviously Insomniac Games will never go back and do another Resistance game because, you know, they're busy with the Marvel stuff. But yeah, fantastic franchise. Resistance Fall of Man was a launch game on the PlayStation 3. All 3 of those games you can pick up for less than $25. Killzone 2 and 3, great games. You can pick them up super cheap for PlayStation 3 as well if you're a collector. You'll definitely find a lot of cool stuff that's relatively cheap on the platform. So there's obviously many more games I could have went over, and you know, I'm going to be doing lots of PlayStation 3 videos on this channel. I've got quite a collection of PlayStation 3. Maybe not as extensive as my Xbox 360 collection, but still a pretty good collection, and I love going back and playing the games. There's just such a variety there and such an amazing amount of nostalgia involved. So hopefully you guys enjoy the PlayStation 3 videos. If you do, let me know down below in the comment section. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future as well. And above all, please remember to like and subscribe, because that's how the channel grows, and that's how I know what kind of content to make and what kind of content you enjoy. So I'll catch you next time. I hope you all have a great day. Game on. Game on.